let me know.
Okay.
You want me to stay?
You fine?
Okay. Hello, Columbus. We are back on our next location for this third in the series of the Fountain City News Walk and Talk Tours. As we're going through the neighborhood that I grew up in, we started over where my grandfather's house was. Then we came over to Metropolitan, where our lead lady here, Miss Gigi Crawford, talked about her grandmother's home that was on the corner over by Metropolitan Baptist Church. Well, across from, on the same side of the street as Metropolitan Church was Miss B's grocery store. She was a black grocery store owner, and we all went to her store because she was the only grocery store we had in the neighborhood at the time for us to go to, except that some of us were allowed to go to Rice's grocery store, which was around behind Tommy Wages Motorsports. I don't know if some of you remember Tommy Wages. And Miss B's grocery store was on the other side around the corner. So some of us went there too, but B's grocery store was the thing, if y'all remember. Miss B was hey, cookies were 2 for a penny. That's how long ago it was. So as we traversing down through uptown Columbus, we passed Metropolitan and we're on the other side of the railroad tracks. And if any of you know anything about the train that used to come up and down this street, it was there today, going back and forth like it did back in the day. Right. It would only pull up so far and then it would back up. It would pull up so far and then it would back up, and ding, ding, ding. So when we were children, we would wait for it to back up so we could run across the tracks. There's a lady here whose name I won't call unless she wants to be mentioned, who made an attempt to try to run under the tracks again, but we told her, we're a little older now, we can't run as fast as we used to, right? So we encouraged her not to do that. But that's what we would have done when we was kids to get past that train. We used to fly up underneath it sometimes because we didn't want to wait. I'm standing in front of historic Claflin. We called it Claflin Elementary School. It's number 4 on the Black History Trail. So if you ever get a bus tour or a car tour through here, they're going to stop at this site and show you what was one of the first black elementary schools in Columbus. Arguably, there are some other people that say other things were here first, and we discussed that in the other series in Carver Heights. And there are other people who say the first black school here was at the Springer Opera Theater. I don't know anything about that, but I know about is Claflin. I grew up in this neighborhood. I attended Claflin Elementary School. And my first teacher here, I don't know if any of you will remember her. Her name was Mrs. Jewel Owens. And Mrs. Owens has a son who is in the video business now. They call him Mr. O. And Mr. O's mother was my elementary school teacher, and she was one of the first teachers that I met coming to Columbus. We moved here from Detroit, Michigan. We had lived in Detroit. I was born in Denver. And she was one of the first people to greet me walking into Claflin Elementary School. Mrs. Owens made all the difference in the world for me being a little scared girl in Columbus, because we got off the train over here on the other side where the train station is. And when we started school, I had to go to Claflin. And my grandmother and my grandparents were also members of St. John AME Church, which is right across the street. She raised our children. She raised my mother and her siblings at St. John AME Church. And when we moved here, they also raised us at St. John AME Church. And we stayed at St. John AME Church until it got blown apart. If y'all remember the history, St. John AME Church was hit sometime in the 70s, I believe it was, late 70s, by 2 tornadoes. One tornado came through this area and ripped off half of the roof. And another tornado came through the following week, the very next Saturday, and ripped off the other half of the roof. And at the time, we were children, and we were listening to the adults who were talking about, should we stay, should we go? Should we stay, should we go? And when that second tornado hit, they said, that's it, we're moving. I wish they hadn't done that. Believe it, somebody's probably going to argue with me about this, but if St. John had still been here, if they had stayed and just fell on their faces and got on their knees and told the Lord they were sorry for running off them kids out of that church, St. John would still be here, and it would be over 200 years old. It was nearly 200 years old then. It would be over 200 years old now. And there are people who don't know that St. John would have been on this location, the oldest AME church in Columbus, Georgia. I went to school here. I was raised in that church by some of the most prominent citizens in Columbus, Georgia. Teachers, preachers, business owners, everybody was at Claflin and at St. John. And around the corner from us was St. James AME Church, which I am now a member of, ad hoc member, but this is part of my history is the AME Church, and I'm actually a full-time member of Spirit, Truth, and Liberty, but I go to St. James because that's where all my people are, and that's where we run the choir. But at one time, we were around the corner. We would go around the corner to St. James from time to time to visit, but we grew up at St. John AME Church, which is right here. And I don't know how many of you will remember that church, this school, but this is the street. We had a rope around us. There were parameters that we had to stay within between 4th Avenue, not downtown, because this is uptown, and this area right here. My grandfather would kill us if we went any further. Then up the hill where the well, he said he was going to kill us. We're still alive, but up the hill where the medical center was, we couldn't cross that perimeter. When we came down here, we couldn't go past 4th Avenue, and right across from me, St. John Alley. St. John Alley is where my uncle used to live. There were homes all up and down that street, and my uncle used to live on St. John Alley. So this is my neighborhood. This is my neck of the woods. Y'all want to add something to it, ladies? Jump in, please. Okay. Feel free, because y'all probably got memories that I don't have, that y'all remember. And that train that keeps going back and forth, me and this lady right here remember that train.
Hello, I'm back again. This is Gigi Crawford. So behind St. John AME Church, which is located on 5th Avenue, my great aunt, my paternal great aunt, my father's aunt that raised him, she lived in a house off of 1515 6th Avenue. And so she was in her prayer closet. I'm just giving you a scenario. She was in her prayer closet when she found out about that Columbus was under a tornado watch. She was in her prayer closet praying, and the tornado hit St. John AME. It did not touch my great aunt Nellie's house. Her house, on the second time, same thing, it did not touch her house. She had scripture buildings like built with wood, that scriptures would say John 3:16, and there were other scriptures that she had in her yard. And we do believe that was her saving place. That was what saved her. And my father, William Renfro Jr., he was raised up in that house, and he and his brother Theodore, they would walk from St. James AME Church back to St. John. They would go to Sunday school at St. John, and then they would slip, it would sneak and go to St. James AME Church for 11 o'clock service. So that's all I have to say about that. It's a lot of history here in uptown Columbus. As my grandmother we called her mother. Affectionately, we called her mother. She would say uptown. But when it was time to go downtown to H.L. Green and those different stores, she would say downtown. So this is uptown, and downtown is where we used to shop. Crest, those stores, all of those stores there, that's where we shop, and that was called downtown. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Gigi. I appreciate it, and she has some memories, as you see, from this area as well. Even though she did grow up in Carver Heights, she had people who lived over here, and she knows a lot about, she knows some things about this area that I probably don't even remember. So as we head on off around the area that's also part of Uptown Columbus, we're going to head toward right outside of Bibb City, where E.W. Sherrill's mortuary was. He was also a member of St. John AME Church, and our family used to take all our people to E.W. Sherrill's mortuary, and when they passed away. So Mr. Sherrill practically buried everybody in my family until he left here himself. So
and his brother was a dentist.
And his brother was a dentist. But we're gonna, when we get over in that area, we're gonna talk more about Mr. Sherrill and Primus King as well, because Primus King used to own a barbershop right down here on 18th Street and Hamilton Road. And my sister's godmother, Charlie Harris, used to live across the street behind where that Church's Chicken was built. At the time, her house was behind there. So we're gonna go that way, and we'll talk about Bibb City, but we're not going to go into Bibb City because Bibb City was absolutely a segregated entire city when we were growing up here. Okay, you went to Bibb City? Okay, she went to Bibb City School. She doesn't want to be on camera, but she knows some history. That's why she's here. Well, give me your name again. Gwen. Gwen Sumpry? Let. Okay. She doesn't want to be on camera, but she has some history here too, especially about running up underneath that train. So we'll see you over there on the other area referred as the rest of Uptown Columbus. And after that, we're going to start the next series, Downtown, which is right across from Claflin, St. John, headed down where Mr. Huff and Mr. Sconyers mortuaries are. Thank you. We'll see you back. Bye.
And that's also called the Liberty District.
Oh, the Liberty District.
My dad.
Did you cut the camera off it? It's called the Liberty District.
My dad's business was in the Liberty District.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that when we get over there to the other side. Yeah. But downtown was the Liberty District, right? Okay.
No, it was in,
8th Street, 5th Avenue.
8th Street, Tom's
6th Avenue.
8th
Street, 8th Street.
All of that's the Liberty District.
Okay. All right. So when we get there, we'll talk about that too. But we're gonna head back over here in this neighborhood, and then we're done with this.
Okay.
Next series 4, Downtown.
All right.
All right. We'll see you in a minute.
Cool.
I was like, where you walking?